It's been 3 weeks. There is a lot to talk about. It's the LP Podcast. Hello and happy freaking Tuesday. Happy first Tuesday of February that we've had a podcast as well. If you were unaware that I was taking an absence, first off, I'm sorry. I apologize. I moved. I'm not going to get too into the weeds there on that, but I moved across country, and as you might imagine, that takes a non-zero amount of time and effort. And unfortunately, I was unable to record podcast episodes for those weeks, but we are back now. And we are going to kind of work our way back through the last 3 weeks of Nintendo news, at least from a highlight perspective. And I anticipate this to take us a little while. So let's get started. The topic of the episode today is mostly rumors. And it's a good thing, too, almost, that I took several weeks off, because several of the rumors that would rise up, and all these rumors are largely surrounding Nintendo Switch's successor, these rumors would quickly get shot down or contradicted or replaced with the next rumor. So I guess in that regard, the 3-week absence almost saved us from reporting on false crap. But this is not false. Nintendo's Koji Kondo selected as a Hall of Fame inductee at the 27th DICE Awards. Isn't that freaking fantastic? If you're not familiar with Koji Kondo, all you have to do is play a Mario or a Zelda game, and you've probably heard at least some of his works. He does not participate, I believe, in every single title in those franchises, but several of the company, as Nintendo as a whole, several of their most famous games, like Ocarina of Time, are the works of this man here. So if anyone's, I guess, deserving of a Hall of Fame induction, then I think it is absolutely Koji Kondo. So as far as the DICE Awards, I was not completely familiar what those were when I pulled this article up, but the Academy of Interactive Arts and Sciences apparently is the institution that votes on that. They announced that Koji Kondo, the acclaimed Nintendo composer and sound director, will be honored at the aforementioned 27th annual DICE Awards ceremony at the Aria Resort in Las Vegas. That will be live streamed later this week, actually, February 15th at 8 p.m. Pacific time, or 9 p.m. Mountain Time, or 10 p.m. Central Time, or 11 p.m. Eastern Time. It's a good thing I'm no longer in the Eastern Time Zone. Goodness gracious, 11 p.m. is really freaking late. Don't you think? I don't know. Koji Kondo had this to say: "I am deeply thankful for being selected by DICE for this important award. It is a true honor to be recognized in this way, and I am extremely humbled. Thanks to the help from the many people surrounding me and the support from our customers and fans. I was fortunate enough to be involved in game music development for decades. I am grateful for everyone who helped and supported me. I will continue my efforts in the music and sound aspects of development to hopefully make everyone's game experience even more enjoyable in the years to come." Now, Koji Kondo's musical work is timeless and impactful, having spanned multiple generations of fans across the world, said Megan Scavio, the president of the Academy of Interactive Arts and Sciences, the AIAS. For over 39 years, he has delighted all of us in the music industry with sounds of songs that are recognized by so many fans and have become pop culture phenomenon. And that's absolutely true, right? I mentioned Ocarina of Time there, and I guess it's on there, and Super Mario World to the left. Like, these games and their soundtracks are synonymous in a way, right? Could you imagine going up to Princess Zelda in the courtyard in Ocarina of Time with a song different from Zelda's Lullaby? Could you imagine running through, flipping and dying, honestly, if you're me, stages in Super Mario World without the athletic theme? No. God, no. Goodness gracious. And now I'm no expert on all of the things that Koji Kondo has done, but I know that I've seen his name in a lot of credits, and I have listened to a lot of video game music attributed to him. So, allow me here, obviously, of course he's listening, right? Yes, Koji, congratulations, dude. You did a great job. Now, let's move one step ahead in our list and see where things line up for us. Are we talking rumors? No rumors just yet. Instead, the Nintendo Switch is getting another N64-inspired platformer, and apparently it looks great. Cavern of Dreams. Fans of platformers like Banjo-Kazooie and Spyro the Dragon are in for a treat later this month as Super Rare Games and By9 Studios are bringing a charming new N64-inspired platformer to the Nintendo Switch. The release date is set at 29 February 2024, so at the time of this recording, just over 2 weeks. So you can already tell there, just looking at the colors in here. We'll let this video play. I'm going to mute it real quick, though. Oh, my goodness. Okay, so first and foremost, it does look, how do I put this? It looks like it was intentionally made to look N64-ish. the graphics, the art style, however you want to call it, however it's being presented here, are a love story to Nintendo 64 fans. Clearly, a wonderful and faithful nod to the game style that's been lost to the tides of times. Now, so this is definitely a nostalgia play here, I can see. I mean, it's maybe a good game in its own right. I've never played it or really spoken to anyone who has. But dare I say it feels like pandering? You know what I'm saying? Like, I am the last person in the world to be concerned with graphical prowess. All right, I've said it ad nauseum. I'll say it again, that I don't care how realistic a game looks. All right, all I care about is how it plays, right? How the story progresses, the game mechanics that you've got to take advantage of in order to finish the game itself. Those sort of hurdles and trials and tribulations, things you overcome and participate in, are what are more important to me than simply how it looks, right? I place the soundtrack. You know, we were talking about Koji Kondo just a few minutes ago. How the game sounds is more important to me than how it looks. But Cavern of Dreams there, I'm a little tentative. I don't know. When I see there that it is so, oh my God, so egregiously N64-ulated, N64-ized, N64-ish. I don't know what the right adjective is. Either which way, it is clearly inspired by N64 from not only like a gameplay, as it calls itself a 3D platform, but a stylistic perspective. So hey, that being said, I do have a huge amount of nostalgia for that era, right? That was where I grew up with gaming, right? My first sort of gaming experience was Super Mario 64. So I'll play it if I get the opportunity to. Now, I'm not going to go out of my way to play it. I'm not going to be like penny pinching or anything, but I will, I'll check it out. And I encourage you to do the same, just so that we can get a consensus, right? Because I'm no expert, and goodness gracious, the more people that play a game, the more people that have opinions on the game, the more we know about it. And I think that's cool. Let's know more about Hi-Fi Rush and Pentiment to rival consoles. Also, Sea of Thieves. So, Xbox, as we all know by now, is making some, well, I guess there are discussions about making some organizational, directional changes, right? At least as it relates to their video game side of the business. They are still going to be producing consoles, last I heard, but it almost sounds, the way that executives are talking, like they are, if not outright moving away from that side of the house, they are starting to dip their toes in the possibility that they may instead just become, a developer and publisher of games, not just exclusives for their own consoles, but of the games themselves for all consoles, for the Switch, for the PlayStation, for PC, of course PC, Microsoft, right? But you know what I'm saying. And this is but another, I guess, few drops, more of a drop. It's like a spray in that bucket, maybe like a handful of water in that bucket, bringing Hi-Fi Rush, Pentiment, and then Sea of Thieves to, I believe, the Nintendo Switch, yes, and PlayStation 5. So, pretty interesting stuff. I think that's a good thing, to be honest with you. I mean, selfishly, right? I'm a Nintendo fan. I don't have, the last Xbox I had, the only Xbox I ever had was an Xbox 360 back when I was in high school. So, I have no intentions of buying another one. And things like this will increase the odds, shall we say, that we get some of the games that I do remember enjoying from my time with an Xbox on the Nintendo Switch. Truth be told, I'm not too terribly concerned because there weren't any of the exclusives that I really care all that much about. I guess Bethesda titles would probably be the ones that I would be most interested in seeing. But then again, we get into the discussion about the Nintendo console's power and whether or not it would get the best performance out of those games. But whatever. Hey, again, I don't really care too much about performance like that. Moving on. Anniversary. Donkey Kong Country. Tropical Freeze is now a decade old. So happy birthday, Tropical Freeze. 10 years. Wow, I feel old. Do you feel old? We should feel old. Goodness gracious. Released for the Wii U in Japan, February 13th, 2024. Happy birthday. Now, unfortunately, I have never actually beaten this game. If I understand correctly what I've seen, it's a relatively shorter experience, but I suppose the Donkey Kong Country games aren't usually all that long anyways. But it is a good one. It is a good one, as people have told me, and I'd love to play it sometime, but we'll have to see. Frankly, the channel itself, my gaming, I don't even want to call it like profession, but my Let's Playing has a marked lack of monkeys, doesn't it? Of gorillas, of apes, of Kongs. Goodness gracious. Perhaps we should do something about that. Moving on, happy birthday, Donkey Kong. Let's see, do we have a rumor? No, we do not have a rumor. I organized this well. I wanted to keep the rumors like towards the end of the show, and I was kind of frantically starting it, but it looks like I was able to do exactly that. So this is not necessarily Nintendo specific, but it is related to gaming in a way that I think is relevant to the topic at hand. Nearly 1 in 5 gamers identify as LGBT+, says a new GLAAD study. Gaming remains woefully behind other forms of entertainment media, and I think that's interesting to kind of consider, because anecdotally, at least in my own experience, right, like I would say, yeah, 1 out of 5 of my friends at least are in that same category, you know, myself as well. Like it's very interesting to see that there is such little representation, at least in the characters in games, right? Because you think of other forms of media, television, movies, even things like novels, right? Books. There is a significantly more prevalent representation that's perhaps a little bit more indicative of, you know, real life, right? And I get it. Like I just mentioned that I don't really care about realism necessarily carrying over into my video games. And again, I don't really care about that, but I think the representation is important. And while it's not necessarily, how do I put this, something that's going to directly impact the gameplay experience altogether, I think that making people feel welcome and appreciated and even just seen is a good thing. So perhaps we should all look for a little bit more of that. And we should all look for a little bit more money in Nintendo's pockets, not ours. Gosh darn it. Nintendo Switch made over $77 billion in lifetime revenue. $77 billion. Can you imagine? All right, if a million is 1,000 thousands, a billion is 1,000 millions. And then this is 77 of those. Like, what? That's a number. It's false. It's fake. It's not real. It's incredible. But I suppose it's not inherently surprising because the Nintendo Switch was a great console. And everyone, their mother, their cats, their dogs, and their gophers had themselves a console or two. Goodness gracious. I know some people that had an OLED model, a base Switch, like a release model Switch, and then like a Switch Lite. I mean, holy cow. I've got the one release Switch, and that's plenty, but, well, money. You know what I'm saying? Money. Technology is expensive. I ain't getting more than one. But good for Nintendo, right? They did very well with the Nintendo Switch. And, you know, following up the relative failure, I struggle to say that, but it really was not necessarily a success. That was the Wii U commercial failure, we'll say. And there's a number of reasons for that, right? The marketing, how it was presented to the market itself. It's just, either which way, the Wii U was not a huge financial success for Nintendo, and they needed something big to happen with their following action, and the Nintendo Switch absolutely delivered on that, right? And because what's more, as the article says here, it's not just a handheld or a console, it is both. It's the combination of a Wii U and a 3DS. It's the call it a gimmick if you will, but the ability to play it docked, the ability to play it on the go was something I think that really appealed to a wide demographic of people. You know what I'm saying? Because there are some people, like myself, who play almost exclusively docked, right? We go after it for that traditional Nintendo console experience. And then there's another number of people who saw it as the successor to the the DS, to the Game Boy, to the handheld Nintendo console, and they play it on their train ride to work or to school, or they play it under the desk, or they play it at their doctor's office getting the colonoscopy, or whatever you're doing with it. You can take it on the go and play it, and that appeals to another demographic of people. And then, of course, there's the people that do both, right? And then those combined factors of all of these different subsects of gamers getting their hands on it, getting interested in it, only is further, I suppose, like expanded upon by word of mouth. Because with all different types of gamers playing it, then all different types of non-gamers are also like, wow, I know Nintendo. I know Zelda. I remember back in my day, maybe I'll get a console again. And then, of course, the combination of that with like COVID really just made it a perfect storm, for lack of a better word. The Switch amassed over 139 million shipments worldwide, the top-selling hardware lineup on the market. Crazy. In addition to that, consumers have purchased over 1.2 billion B for banana games on the platform. That is bananas, dude. Pushing the cumulative platform revenues to 77.6 billion. Truly incredible. Truly incredible. We can actually see a chart here. All the fiscal years and fiscal quarters since its release. Honestly, look at that trend. You see that? You can't quite. Here, let me pull it a little bit. There you go. Now look at that trend, right? Like going right around here. Like it doesn't look like it's dying out, does it? I mean, maybe it's slightly teetering down, but it's still better than it was for the first 2.5 years of its release, which is incredible. All right, truly. The Switch has lasting appeal. All right, people are still getting their first Switch, this last Christmas or even Valentine's Day coming up, what have you. Incredible. Incredible job, Nintendo. We can only hope that the next iteration of Nintendo's console action is just as good. Speaking of which, sales. All right, I know we're talking about the money that Nintendo is making, and part of the fact that Nintendo's been so successful is they don't often have stuff go on sale. I mean, that's their prerogative, right? People want to buy it for whatever price they put it on it. Then that's just the cost. That's just what happens. Now, Nintendo Switch offering sales. Very curious. Where are these? The sales are available at Target this entire week. Just to double check, yes, that is this present week, the week of the 13th. So, go to Target if you are interested in Super Mario Party, Kirby and the Forgotten Land, Mario Strikers Battle League, or Splatoon 3. All of these have been slashed by $20. Yes, that is right. That is a 33% discount for all of them, bringing their total to $40. That is actually really interesting to me because I was just talking this weekend about how I have not played Splatoon of any kind, and I am interested in it. I am very interested in it. So the sale has also been picked up by additional retailers, not just Target. So Target, Walmart, and Amazon. Target, Walmart, and Amazon have these sales. If you want those games for a discount, go get you some. No such luck for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Oh, man. Continuing with the financial talk, we just talked about how Nintendo amassing huge numbers, and they are in no hurry to slow down. Kind of an oxymoron, yes. But Nintendo made $4.2 billion during this most recent holiday season with a 31% operating profit margin. All right, if you're not familiar with profit margins or terms like that, what that means is the operating costs are here. The profit margin is the money that you make like over that, right? So that that gap between operating costs, the infrastructure, the people, contracts, all of the things that the business is responsible to keep functioning and producing. And the profit margin is, the space between what the money you actually made and what the money you need is. And 31%. That's pretty friggin' significant, all right? Oh, that is great. So as the Switch enters its 8th year, 9th year, something like that, almost a decade, it is really not showing any signs of slowing. And look at this. This article as well has the same graph we just saw in the last one. Fascinating. I mean, I find this stuff truly interesting just because as a fan, right, when your the subject to your fandom or whatever you're interested in, Nintendo in this instance, when they're doing well financially, that means good things for you. Of course, that assumes that they're run well. And at this point in time, I do believe Nintendo is run well. Clearly, they've made a ton of really interesting decisions over the years, but more importantly, in recent memory, they've made a ton of really good decisions. You know, not just obviously with the Switch, but with the games that they've put out, right? Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild, Kirby the Forgotten Land, the Pikmin series getting its life stabbed back into it, Mario Wonder, Mario RPG Remakes, Thousand Years. I mean, I could go on and on. There's a lot of good things that are happening more and more frequently with Nintendo, and I think it's no surprise that is coinciding with a significant uptick in financial success. All right, and we as fans we're responsible for that in a way, right? I mean, it's a give and take sort of thing. Nintendo is responsible for putting out things that we want to purchase, that we want to spend money on, and then of course we have to do the whole spending of the money. But as long as we can maintain that give and take relationship, Nintendo keeps putting out things that the consumers want to buy. We keep having money somehow, some way in this crazy thing we call 2024. We somehow have money to buy things. The things I think will continue to go well for all parties involved. And it's funny, too, when we talk about the success that Nintendo has had, and we attribute it to the consoles and the games and stuff. And apparently Nintendo themselves accredits at least a non-zero amount of success to Super Mario Wonder's multiplayer. And I think that's a fascinating point. Number one, I think it's fascinating that there's an article specifically around this, that they had a statement about this specifically, because that just goes to show that they're talking about it a lot internally. And I think that's fascinating, because something that Nintendo games have lacked in a way is online multiplayer. It's not something that's ever been really important to them. And I know the online multiplayer in Mario Wonder isn't necessarily the most robust thing in the world, but it is something. When I think of Nintendo multiplayer, I think of couch co-op, and that is something I'll always think of, and that's something that I do prefer as opposed to online gaming. But online gaming does have its merits, and I think that as Nintendo continues to grow and adapt as a company, starting to incorporate that more and more in a way that makes sense to them and their IPs like Mario Wonder is only going to be a good thing, right? For them, of course, from a sales perspective, an interest perspective, market share perspective, but for fans in a way for us to connect with other fans that we don't live by. You know what I'm saying? Because to play the couch co-op sort of style, you're going to need physical proximity. I mean, maybe you don't. I guess you could like put your cat on the couch, and that's couch co-op. Catch co-op. But something tells me that even if the cat was playing as Yoshi, it would not do very well at Super Mario Wonder. That being said, further on digging into this article, in a Q&A with investors following its recent earnings report, Nintendo president Shuntaro Furukawa explained some of the likely contributing factors to the Super Mario Bros. Wonder success. He explained how the multiplayer feature in Wonder was vital in that it suited the need for a game that many people can enjoy with family and friends, as the game was released ahead of the holiday season and was likely a gift for many during that period. Okay, so I kind of went off on a tangent there talking about the online. That's not exactly what he was saying here. What he's saying makes complete sense, right? Because releasing a game like that, where it is, intended in some capacity to play with family and friends, I played through it with my wife during the holiday season. Like, that's people traditionally spend holiday time around family or friends or cats, dogs, whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's a certain time of togetherness. So Nintendo releasing a game around that time that is maybe not completely intended for multiplayer, like you can play it solo, but it definitely incentivizes the playing of multiplayer. It's just another line in a series of great Nintendo decisions, just like we were talking about. Oh, man. And Nintendo hopefully has a number of other good decisions up their sleeves with the next console. Yes, we are starting to move into rumors. We'll move back out of rumors here in a little bit, but the way things have lined up, we're talking rumors now. So the Nintendo Switch 2 rumors claim that the console will be backwards compatible and powered by a custom NVIDIA chip. NVIDIA. I always have a problem pronouncing that. I don't know why. I say the NVIDIA. Anyways, so again, rumors. How much stock can we put into them? It's anyone's guess. But I think that the backwards compatibility is pretty important, and that's something that Nintendo's done several times before, right? Obviously, the Switch is not backwards compatible with the Wii U or anything else, but with a lot of the purchases and things of that nature starting to become digitalized, you think of the Nintendo Switch Online feature with the Game Boy Advance, N64, Super Nintendo, etc. Things like that should transfer over. And then your digital purchases too, right? Of course, it's entirely possible that they don't, but I know that a number of people would be, myself included, a little upset. That being said, the flash carts themselves, or not flash carts, but the game cartridges themselves, having compatibility in a way like the DS had a slot for the Game Boy Advance, I think would be, well, awesome. And hopefully this rumor is absolutely true. Now, the custom NVIDIA chip is something that I am intrigued by. So if we scroll through here, I'm curious to see if they expand on that a little bit. It says Nintendo sticking with NVIDIA. Another potentially sizable scoop during the rounds this week is a report from Reuters claiming that Nintendo's next console will utilize a custom chip. The current Switch is powered by an NVIDIA Tegra X1 chip, so Nintendo sticking with the manufacturer for its next console isn't hugely surprising. But there had been some speculation that the big NVIDIA would make do with a universal chip rather than a custom one. I see. So they're saying that Nintendo could get a custom chip as opposed to a, something that a lot of other pieces of hardware would be using. Got it. Well, we will see. We will absolutely see, right? Because, again, talking about the importance of graphics, processing power, NVIDIA's GPUs, their chips are top of the line, right? NVIDIA's market share has surpassed Amazon's, actually. It's kind of an aside there, so interesting. Again, rumors, we shall see. What article is this next? Let me just scroll up. Oh, let's move these around real quick. I want to go to this one. We'll talk financials one last time. The Nintendo Switch has become the best-selling console of all time in Japan. And it's no freaking surprise, is it? I mean, come on. We just talked about all the numbers, the billions of dollars, the hardware, the software, this, that, and the other. Of course, Nintendo does well in their home country. And it's no surprise, really, for all the reasons that we mentioned earlier. And another reason I feel like that Nintendo is so successful, and this is a reason, unfortunately, too, that a lot of people have qualms with Nintendo as a company, is their litigious nature. All right? When they hear of or see or otherwise perceive something as infringing on their IPs or the monies, they are not slow to take action. And, of course, we are seeing that in real time with the response to Palworld, which actually is not even up here. But I did want to talk about that. They are currently taking the developers of Palworld to court to settle or to figure out exactly what levels of infringement occurred. Because Nintendo, as a company, thinks, and I would tend to agree with some of the designs, that there is a little bit more than inspiration happening. But we'll see what happens. Speaking of Pokemon, Pokemon Horizons, the series, is being pushed back to March 7th. So if you're looking forward to that coming out on Netflix recently or upcoming, it is pushed back just a wee bit more. So check that out. I myself will probably be watching it. Goodness gracious, I have so many other things I'm trying to catch up. I'm still trying to catch up on One Piece, all right? A lot of TV to watch, so add this one to the list. And last but not least, we are going to talk about what Matt McKeown of IGN? No, of MSN, of The Gamer specifically, thinks are the best platformers on Nintendo Switch. And we're just going to kind of skim through this because I want to see if there are a few games on here that I have in mind. And it doesn't look like it's put in any particular order, so we won't attribute it to, to a ranking. Vengeful Guardian of Moonrider, Have a Nice Death, Ultimate Chicken Horse. Never even heard of that. That sounds terrifying. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Shredder's Revenge, Duck Game, Box Boy and Box Girl, Yoshi's Crafted World, Super Mario Wonder. There we go. It Takes Two. Perfect. And I wasn't thinking of that as a platformer, but that does make sense. Celeste, Cuphead, Human Fall Flat. That's kind of interesting. I mean, Is it technically a platformer? I guess I can. When I think of Human Fall Flat, I think of a chaotic puzzle game, really. And I guess there are some levels of platforming elements to it. So funny, interesting. Cave Story, Rayman Legends, Owlboy, Super Mario Odyssey. Perfect. That's another one I was looking for because I am currently playing through that for the first time, and I can absolutely see why this would be ranked highly. Hollow Knight, Shovel Knight, Ori the Collection, Disney Illusion Island, and that wraps us up. So do we consider Kirby and the Forgotten Land a platformer? Maybe not. Maybe it's more of an action-adventure sort of game. But I do think there are at least as many platforming elements in that as there are several of these mentions here. What about you? Were there any platforming games you feel like were left off of this list? And what do you think about the rumors swirling about Nintendo Switch 2? And what do you think about how Nintendo has performed financially, as well as the choices they've made to prop that up? Obviously, I've already said my piece about that, and I feel quite good about where things are going, where things have been, and what we are all in line for this year and hopefully years to come. But ultimately, it's all speculation, right? We're going to have to wait and see, be patient, and play the games we have with the time we have. So, thank you so much for watching. This has been LP, your host. I do this every Tuesday, unless I move across the country, and then I'm going to take a delay. But every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And I hope I see you again next week.